What is good, y'all? Welcome to the Mission Ready Men briefing, where we stand firm in truth, faith, family, and freedom right here on the SHR Media Network. Today is Tuesday, June 24th, in the year of our Lord 2025. And this show is for those of us who fear God, love our country, and will not back down from a fight, because the battle we're in is not just political, but it's spiritual. We've got truth to expose, narratives to crush, and the fight for faith, family, and freedom never takes a day off. The woke crowd is melting down. I don't know what happened there. The woke crowd is melting down. The regime is lying as usual. The American prop is lying through its teeth. And patriot warriors all across the country are stepping up. And I'm getting reports that there might not be any video. I hope that that is not true. I know that that thumbnail was up there for a minute, but either way, patriot warriors, as I said, are stepping up, and we're getting into all of it and then some. So make sure you're following Mission Ready Men on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and or X if you prefer, and TikTok. And if you want to wear the fight, go ahead and grab your gear at missionreadymen.com. Click on Shop 7 Arms and check out all of our great designs. All right, now that business is out of the way, let's get after it. And I don't know, it's been kind of a slow start to the summer, hasn't it? Not a whole lot to talk about. Of course, I am lying. There is a ton to talk about. I don't even know if we're going to get to everything that I have planned to talk about today, but the first thing we want to talk about today is Operation Midnight Hammer. And I'm not going to get into a whole lot of detail on it. That happened over the weekend, and we know most of the details of that at this point if you're paying attention. But just to recap, we had U.S. stealth bombers, 7 stealth bombers armed with 2 bunker busters fly over to Iran and drop them on their nuclear enrichment facilities in Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. And that was a total of 420,000 pounds of bombs dropped in that night, the largest such mission in U.S. military history. And Iran claimed initially that they moved the uranium and nothing was destroyed. I don't know if I believe that. A lot of intelligence from both the United States and Mossad say that that is not true, because the mission didn't leak. Imagine that. The mission didn't leak. The press didn't know. The left didn't know. And next thing you know, it was over. And the president, he did brief Senator Schumer and some Republicans. He attempted to brief Timo Obama, Hakeem Jeffries, but he didn't want to pick up the phone, so too bad for him. But it's just amazing how it happens that when you don't talk to leakers, things don't leak. And President Trump, in his first term, he had that administration leaked like a sieve. But he learned from that, and this mission was airtight. Mission security was on point, and I appreciate that. So Iran tried to save face by launching some Fada-class missiles at Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar. But they warned everybody. They warned the United States. They warned Qatar that this was happening. And of course, we alerted Israel when we got that alert. And the base was empty. There were no casualties reported. All but one missile was intercepted, and it landed and it caused minor damage to a peripheral building on the base. And of course, it was a symbolic move just to save face without escalating into a war, because warning everybody what was going to happen. Obviously, they didn't want the smoke of retaliating like that without saying, "Hey, this is just to let everybody know that we're at least trying to retaliate." But it's just it's sad. Their military, that regime, is, I don't want to say it's on its last legs, because they've been in power for a long time, but this was a devastating blow to them. This was a devastating blow to them. Even if they did manage to move the uranium, which I don't think they did, but even if they did manage to move it, the facilities they need to continue to enrich it and to develop it are basically destroyed. Now, we don't have confirmation that everything has been completely destroyed, as President Trump said in his victory lap there, but we have every reason to believe that that's the case. I think we have. No, I didn't. I don't have it up, but there's satellite images of the before and after, and all the craters in and around the area where the facilities were buried. I really don't think that they have the ability at this point to resume as it had been their nuclear program. It has been set back, I would imagine, at least 2 decades, at least. But we'll see. And as a result of this, they called for a ceasefire. They agreed to a ceasefire, allegedly. But I think anyone who's been paying attention to the Middle East, who's been paying attention to Iran and their regime, and the radical Islamist regimes in general, they will say or do whatever they need to do to buy themselves time. And so with this ceasefire that's been declared, I have my doubts that it's going to last. I really do. And Israel has already accused Iran of violating the ceasefire, which, and so they retaliated, and that set President Trump off. I'm sure you, I don't have the clip queued up, but I'm sure you've seen President Trump drop the F-bomb when he was on his way to Marine One. He's not happy. He really wants peace, and I respect that. But I think his desire for peace, I think, is overriding some. And I could be wrong. It could just be what he's projecting. He's been known to misdirect. I mean, this whole Midnight Hammer operation was successful because of the misdirection between sending bombers west and telling everybody that he was going to give them 2 weeks before he made a decision. So this could be another one of those. Who knows? But just based on what we know so far, it seems like, and again, maybe that's what he wants to project, but it seems like he's letting his desire for peace override what, I don't want to say common sense, but what experience tells us is the truth. And like I said, Israel has accused Iran of violating the ceasefire. And take a look at this and you tell me. I guess it will depend on the timing of when this happened. But you tell me if you think this is a violation of the ceasefire. I think I got to go with Israel on this one. Wow. And that was a missile hitting an apartment building in Beersheba. The devastation in that apartment building is catastrophic. And even though casualties were minimal, I believe 4 or 5 people were killed in that strike. They targeted us. They targeted civilians again. And so whether it happened before the ceasefire went into effect or after is kind of irrelevant to me. They targeted civilians. They deserve a counterstrike. They deserve retaliation. And for President Trump to step in and tell them no, even though I think Netanyahu pretty much ignored that, but regardless, for him to step in and tell them no, it's one of the times that I disagree with President Trump. I disagree with President Trump on that. Israel should do whatever it has to do to win this war. They need to do whatever they have to do to win the war, because despite the ceasefire, despite the overtures that Iran is making about the ceasefire and stuff like that, you can't believe a word they say. They have proven themselves over decades to be untrustworthy. So there's that. Excuse me. And so prior to this, everyone was talking about Iran retaliating against the United States for these strikes. And just because they agreed to the ceasefire doesn't mean that they don't have plans to do that as well. And of course, Marco Rubio said Iran should not target U.S. personnel or there will be consequences. Tom Cotton, and I have a clip of Tom Cotton, he said that there are many more targets in Iran and we haven't even touched their energy sector. Said that Trump doesn't bluff. Let's take a look at what Tom Cotton said, because this was this was pretty great. I'm a fan of Tom Cotton. I think he's been pretty good for the most part. I haven't agreed with everything he said. I haven't agreed with every vote that he's done, but I think overall he's been pretty good. So let's take a listen to what he has to say right here.
The supreme leader and the Ayatollahs in Iran need to understand that President Trump means business. They have a chance to sue for peace here, to dismantle whatever remnants of their nuclear program remain, and to continue to actually survive. Because we haven't targeted the supreme leader, we haven't targeted their energy infrastructure, we haven't targeted other critical infrastructure. That's an implicit message that Iran still has things that they hold dear that neither the United States nor Israel has struck. Iran needs to heed President Trump's warning.
And if Iran retaliates, should the United States target the supreme leader?
I won't rule any single target in or out, but I'll say that President Trump was very clear in his warning last night to Iran that last night will look like child's play if they target Americans. Clearly, President Trump means business.
Yeah, he does. He means business, and yeah, I mean, Israel and the United States have kind of held back, which is not a tactic I agree with. I understand why. I understand why it's being done that way. I get it. I'm just the type of person where I just want to annihilate the opposition. Like I'm a huge boxing fan, and a lot of people don't like to see first round knockouts. Like when Mike Tyson was knocking out people left and right within a minute of the first round. A lot of people didn't like that. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I love to see the superior athlete, the superior nation exercise their dominance when it's warranted. And I'm not talking about just conquering every nation on the planet. No, but if we're threatened, if somebody is coming after us, then I don't want to see restraint. I want to see total annihilation. And call me what you will, say that's not Christian, whatever, I don't care. But our survival is paramount. That's just how I see it. Now, there is another side to this, and that is the whole constitutional argument that's been brought up by Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna and the entire left, and some Republicans, a few Republicans, who claim that it's not constitutional. Thomas Massey said that. Warren Davidson of Ohio said that he doesn't see how this fits under Article 2. Article 2, Section 2, the president shall be commander-in-chief of the Army and Navy of the United States and of the militia of the several states. He didn't declare war. He didn't say we were at war with Iran. He didn't put troops on the ground in the Middle East. He targeted their nuclear facility. He's been saying for a long time that they cannot have a nuclear weapon. They were at 60% enrichment, and to get from 60 to 90, which is what they need for a nuclear weapon, takes almost no time at all. They effectively had nuclear capabilities. And he did what he had to do to knock it out. That is not a declaration of war. That is excuse me, protecting the United States, which is his job. It's his number one job. And so Article 2 basically grants the president power to respond to these types of threats. And I have forgotten to connect the chat. So if anyone is in the chat, please go ahead and do that. Apparently, like I said, we had some video issues, but video is back, according to my beautiful wife, B. Thank you. But getting back to this, because I want to kind of wrap this up here in a second. But between Article 2 of the Constitution and the War Powers Act of 1973, which requires the president to notify Congress within 48 hours and limits combat to 60 days. The combat lasted, what, a matter of hours? And he notified Congress. Like I told you before, he notified Senator Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, and a number of Republicans right when it happened. I don't see how that doesn't pass muster with the War Powers Resolution of 1973. Seems pretty obvious to me. And of course, Thomas Massey and a few others are trying to put a resolution together to make this unlawful. It's ridiculous. And even the constitutional scholars out there are divided up on this. Some say it's unconstitutional and unlawful. Some say it's say that the president has the right to lead in wartime, and protecting the United States against a nuclear armed Iran, I believe is one of those threats, that the president has the authority and the, not just the authority, but the requirement to act. Jonathan Turley had a good piece on his blog. I just want to take a look at that, because he calls it the the Claude Rains School of Constitutional Law. And if you don't know who Claude Rains is, you should. This article that he wrote is going to be in the show notes, and he has a link to Claude Rains, and you'll understand immediately what it's about. If I can pull it up here, then we'll be good to go. The Claude Rains School of Constitutional Law: Democrats denounce Iranian attack as unconstitutional. And let's see, where does he talks about how Schumer insisted that no president should be allowed to unilaterally march this nation into something as consequential as war with erratic threats and no strategy. And Timu Obama, Hakeem Jeffries has made similar noises. But they didn't have any problem. And I believe in this article, he goes on to talk about how Clinton, right here, Clinton launched cruise missile attacks under Operation Infinite Reach on 2 continents in 1998. He ordered attacks in Khartoum, Sudan, Coast Province, Afghanistan. And Obama, he was the bomber in chief. He bombed Libya, he bombed Afghanistan, he bombed Syria. He dropped hundreds of thousands of bombs and drone strikes. And he killed American citizens. Now they were anti-American Islamic extremists, yes, but they were still American citizens, and they had every right to the so-called due process that the left is making noises about right now with these illegal aliens. And he ordered a drone strike and killed them both. Nothing. There were a few Democrats who made noises about how that was wrong, but for the most part, it was crickets. There weren't even a ton of conservatives or Republicans who condemned it. There were a few, obviously, but it largely went unchallenged. So it's funny how it's different when a Democrat does it, but when somebody like Trump does it, that's when it really gets deep. So we're kind of at a crossroads here with this. We're going to see how it plays out. But the president, he has promised peace through strength. And so far, he's delivering. We'll see how long this peace lasts. Iran, like I said, can't be trusted. but we'll see. But President Trump is delivering on his promise of peace through strength, and the left is going into apoplexy because of it. They can't stand it. Cannot stand it. And they're trying to say that this is escalation as opposed to deterrence. I think it is absolutely deterrence. I mean, Iran is going to do what Iran does for sure, and they will likely give us some noises and try to retaliate, and it'll be weak. And either Israel or us will handle it. But I think because don't forget, a lot of the other countries in the Middle East are condemning what Iran did. They're praising the United States for taking it out because they don't want a nuclear armed Iran either. So we'll see how this all shakes out. We will see how this all shakes out. But yeah, I think this is a good thing, and President Trump is doing what he has to do, and I applaud him for it. But I spent a lot more time on that than I really wanted to. Good afternoon, Joe. Appreciate you being here. Well, it's still morning for me, but I know it's afternoon for you. But yeah, I wanted to move on and get to some other things because like I said, there's a lot to get to. And I want to talk about a murder that took place here in Texas back in April. Austin Metcalf. He was murdered by some thug. I'm not going to use his name, but he was stabbed to death in broad daylight at a track meet, at a school track meet. And people who've been covering it, such as myself and others, have been wanting. We knew that there had to be some footage of it somewhere, and the Frisco ISD has footage, but they're not releasing it. They're releasing it to a select few reporters under tight control. And just to recap the story, Austin Metcalf was stabbed by the accused, who claimed self-defense, and witnesses have said that Austin Metcalf asked him to move because he wasn't supposed to be under that tent. It was raining that day and stuff like that. No witnesses said that Austin Metcalf was aggressive towards the murderer or anything like that. But Carmelo Anthony, and I just said his name, anyway, said that, touch me and see what happens. And then he pulled a knife and proceeded to stab Austin Metcalf. Now, the surveillance video that captured the incident captured a lot of footage before, during, and after. And it wasn't released to the public for some reason. They were claiming privacy issues with the students who were there and stuff like that. But it was a public event in a public place. So the expectations of privacy that they're trying to protect of these kids, I don't think really applies. But some select few reporters have been granted access to watch it. They couldn't take any video. They didn't get copies of it. They went to a specific location to view it, about 30 minutes worth of footage, and all they can do is report on what they saw. They can't. They weren't allowed to take any screenshots or video footage of it. But here is a report. Here's a report from a a news station here in Texas, a reporter who was granted access. And it's really interesting to see it's interesting to see what they're reporting, what they're allowing, and why they're doing it. And it's really kind of frustrating, because this is something that the public should know. This is something that the public should see. And the fact that they're not doing it suggests a few things to me, which I'll get into after we take a look at this.
Frisco ISD is releasing surveillance video of the stabbing at the track meet that led to the death of a student back in April, but only under very strict conditions. So through open records, they will allow whoever requests it to view that video, but no recording whatsoever is allowed. On that note, we sent our IT producer, Kelsey Mittauer, to watch that video. She joins us now in studio to walk us through what you saw. We're going to go in order here in just a second, Kelsey. But in general terms, what did the video depict? What did you see?
It shows everything from the moments leading up to the stabbing, to the medical response, to then the beginning of the police investigation.
Okay, and it lasted several minutes is what they showed.
It did, about 30 minutes.
Okay, so let's start in the beginning now and talk a little bit about what you saw at the front end of that video, because you got to see the attack, the actual stabbing
right.
took place.
So I started watching about 9:53. The camera shows half of the field. So it's about from the 50-yard line on, and the tent where it happened was kind of right in front of the 50-yard line, but the camera is down here. Okay. It's positioned across the field. So everybody in the video, you can tell there are kids or adults, but no one's identifiable.
So a long shot is what
a long shot, yeah.
So a couple of minutes in, and you actually see the altercation take place.
Yes, everything leading up to it, everyone's milling about. It seems very normal. And then right at 9:55, that's when there's this explosive movement or action between two people under the tent. And that's when the employees in the room told me that's when the stabbing happened at 9:55.
Right. And you were talking about people kind of start to scatter at that moment. Obviously, something went wrong. And so what happens next? Because now, a little bit later on, that's when the ambulance shows up.
Right. So when the ambulance arrives, it actually comes through near the end zone at the gate, and then it comes up to the 50-yard line directly in front of the tent. You can see Austin Metcalf is right here. But then when they pull up close to the tent, they realize that they can't get the stretcher to him because of the barrier of the bleachers. So at that point, then the paramedics have to get out, and then they have to walk all the way back to the end zone. This is actually, on the next slide. They have to go all the way back to the end zone and then come all the way back. That takes another couple of minutes. So,
all right. So we have that. And I believe that there is actually other footage taken by students, taken by witnesses that were there that they haven't released yet. I don't have any evidence of that, but come on now. This is 2025. Everyone has a camera. Everyone is recording everything. And so it's going to be interesting to see what more comes out. Now, there's saying that this is Frisco ISD is invoking FERPA, which is a I don't have the exact acronym in front of me, but it's basically saying that they have a right to privacy, that the kids who are there shouldn't be subjected to having their images and stuff like that made public. But it's not an education. It's not an education thing. This was a public event, and so it should be released. And of course, parents and whatnot should be able to view it first and things like that. But this is just what I think is happening is that they are trying to protect the murderer. I think that it makes him look bad, and they're trying to protect him because we saw what happened when this whole thing went down. They came out, they got him a GoFundMe or whatever it is, and he made $500,000 or more by now on that thing, and everybody came out free the murderer. And I think they're trying to protect him. I think they don't want this footage that is damning to get out because they don't want him to spend his life in prison. And why, for the life of me, I can't figure out. He's a killer. He belongs in prison. And there was obviously no self-defense involved. Because if it was self-defense, we would know it. If it was actually self-defense, they would have released the footage showing Austin Metcalf be aggressive and threaten him. But they didn't. So we'll be following this story, but it's just a sad story all around. 2 lives completely destroyed. Anyway, all right. I still got a lot to get to and not a whole lot of time. And so I want to get a word in from our sponsor today. And our sponsor for today's show is Carry Girl Gear. And guys, if you're looking for a gift for your wife or your girlfriend, go check out carrygirl.com. We've got some of the best looking, highest quality shirts out there. Bold designs, great fabric, and gear that she'll actually want to wear. It's not just shirts. We have drinkware, we have hats, a whole host of accessories that she's going to absolutely love. And of course, if you don't have a good handle on sizes and tastes and stuff like that, go ahead and get a gift card and let her pick out the gear for herself. It's quick, it's easy. She'll get what she wants, and you'll look like a hero. So head over to carrygirl.com today. Show some love and make it count. Visit carrygirl.com today. All right, y'all. I am Big E, and you're watching or listening to the Mission Ready Men Briefing on the SHR Media Network, where you can catch all of the great shows. Sackhead Sean with The Edge of Liberty every Monday and Wednesday at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. The Reaver of Common Sense with Jersey Joe, who's in chat every Monday and Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern and 6 p.m. Pacific. And BZ with the Berserk Bobcat Saloon every Tuesday and Thursday at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific. I don't believe BZ is going to be on this evening, unfortunately. He is, technology is not his friend right now. And so he's dealing with some technical issues. So he will be back on Thursday, as far as I know. But please like and subscribe and share all of these great shows. We're up at 530 subscribers now. Took us a long time to get to 500, and now we just hit 500 about a week and a half ago, and maybe 2 weeks now, and we're already up to 530. So please continue to like and subscribe and share with everyone you know, and pray for us so that we can have a huge breakthrough, even bigger than we're having right now, so we can reach as many people as we possibly can. All right, now back to our regularly scheduled programming. And this is something that I don't talk a lot about pop culture. I don't know a lot of pop culture. I do watch things like American Idol every now and then, and some of those singing competition shows and dance competition shows. And something came to my attention this week. There is a so-called celebrity by the name of JoJo Siwa, who has recently come out and made some waves, saying that she was pressured into taking on a certain label. She was a child star. She was on this show, Dance Moms. I've never seen an episode of it. Didn't know who she was until very recently. And I'm not trying to get into gossip about celebrities, sexuality, and things like that, but I think this is important because she was a child star, and I don't know how old she was when she started on that show, but back in 2021, she came out and said that she identified herself as pansexual, whatever that is. I really don't know, but she later called herself a lesbian, and now says that she's quote unquote queer. And this is relevant because she said she was pressured into doing it. She said she felt pressured into coming out as a lesbian. Now, this is something that we have said for a long time is what's happening. They're grooming these kids. And they'll tell us that that's not happening. But here we have one of them, a former child star, actually saying that she was pressured into doing it. Now, why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? Well, she said that the pressure came not just from media, who was trying to find out what her sexual preference was, which is just beyond creepy anyway, but the alphabet mafia community was trying to pressure her into coming out. And what's amazing about this and also disturbing, these people out in society talk about authenticity. You have to be authentic. But then they take these kids and demand that they conform to whatever approved narrative is the narrative du jour. They're pushed into creating these labels for themselves that it just shouldn't be. And of course, you know my stance on the whole thing, that the homosexuality and all this other stuff is a sin. And so pressuring these kids into conforming and participating in that type of lifestyle is just an abomination as far as I'm concerned. And so we talked about how they're pushing these kids to be authentic yet conform to these narratives. It doesn't make any sense. It's incoherent. I use the word incoherent to talk about these leftists all the time, and it's completely incoherent. And she said that the pressure came from, as I said, the media and society and inside the alphabet mafia community. So the question becomes, where were her parents? Where was her dad? How does this happen? Well, it happens because they have predatory parents or absent parents who are just looking at their kid as a paycheck, and predatory people in these communities that need to try and expand their community any way they possibly can. And so they groom these kids into conforming to their lifestyle. It is 100% predatory. And when you're dealing with these kids, they're already confused. They're already trying to figure themselves out at an age when everything is being bombarded at them. So they're naturally confused. But God didn't make us to be defined by confusion. God is not the author of confusion. He gives us clarity. He gave us an identity. He gives us purpose. And this is Jojo Siwa's situation is a cautionary tale about what happens when culture replaces truth with these false ideologies. James 1:8 says a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. And I asked the question earlier, where was her father? Where were her parents? And I know because of the culture we live in, a lot of these kids grow up in broken homes and things like that. But dads need to lead their families. And if for whatever reason they can't be in the same home with their kid, they have to be able to be involved. They have to make that effort to be involved in their kids' lives and lead them with truth and compassion and steer them away from this nonsense. And don't look at your kid as a meal ticket, because I think that's what a lot of this stems from. Speak the truth in your home, especially to your children. Don't outsource it to TikTok and Instagram and social media. It's just because all they're going to get on those platforms is the rainbow agenda. And when that happens, you have kids like Jojo Siwa coming out in their teenage years talking about how they're pansexual. It's sad. It's a sad state of affairs, and we need to, especially men, fathers, we need to step up and lead, because otherwise your kids are going to get caught up in this identity politics, LGBT, alphabet mafia, and they're not going to have a chance. If you don't step up, they're not going to have a chance. The title of this episode of today's show is America Leads, Men of Faith Hold the Line, and Evil Has No Chance. And this alphabet mafia identity politics nonsense is evil. And men of faith need to step up. All right, I still got about 10 minutes. I actually want to talk about this too, and it's along the same lines. There is a lot of anti-Semitism, anti-Christian bigotry going on right now, and I'm not really going to have time to get into it as much as I wanted to, because there's a couple other things I want to get into. But there was an attack on a church in Wayne, Michigan, and that attack was thwarted by the men on the security team. And there's been a number of attacks on churches in recent years. There was the attack at the Lakewood Church here in Houston, I'm not in Houston, but here in Texas, um, and security put that threat down as well. And synagogues and all these other Christian churches have been under attack. They're targeted because there's a spiritual component to this. The numbers don't lie. As much as the left would like to tell you that the numbers aren't what they are, the numbers don't lie. The Family Research Council reported 915 attacks on churches since 2018, 436 incidents in 2023 alone, which was a record year, more than twice what it was in 2022. And the ADL reports a 400% increase in anti-Jewish incidents since the Israel-Hamas war started or restarted in 2023. Jewish schools, synagogues, homes. We just saw the governor of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro. His house was set on fire with him and his family inside. So Jewish schools, synagogues, homes vandalized. What's happening is their anti-Christian and anti-Semitic hate is being normalized. Is being normalized right now. There is a growing hostility towards biblical values. And people mock Christian convictions all the time. Media, in education, entertainment especially. And the reason is Christianity and Judaism both value moral boundaries that the secular community just doesn't recognize. We claim that there is an absolute truth, which they don't recognize. This is cultural rot that we have to root out. And it's up to men of faith to do that. It's up to men of faith to step up, be watchful, be faithful, and be ready to deal with these threats, because it's not going to stop. It's not going to stop anytime soon. This is and this is not something new. The Roman Empire persecuted Christians and Jews. Nazi Germany, we famously demonized Jews, and once they accomplished that goal, they turned on Christians. John 15:18 says, "If the world hates you, keep in mind that it hated me first." The world hates Christians there, and it's a threat. And we need to encourage courage in the pulpits, pastors to speak up, and steel in the pews. People need to be ready. As I say all the time, keep your head on a swivel, because you never know when this could kick off. All right. I had a lot more I wanted to talk about on there, but I want to get to this real quick. Candace Owens has lost her mind. And this kind of ties into the whole anti-Semitic thing as well. But she has lost her absolute mind. I used to be a big fan of hers. When she first came out and when she first hit the scene, I know came out has a different connotation. When she first hit the scene, she was a smart, conservative commentator who said a lot. I didn't agree with everything she said. She still had some things about her dealing with race and things like that, even though she was instrumental in the Brexit movement. But she was smart. She knew what she was talking about. She routinely destroyed leftists in debates. It was easy to like her and respect her for her stances. But something happened. Something happened along the way. I don't know if it was, honestly, I have no idea what it is, but she has lost her mind. And I'm not even really going to get into, she has been proven herself to be a pretty big anti-Semite. But what she said recently, I believe it's probably been close to a week now, but I just heard about it the other day. She, well, just take a look at this, because this is absolute madness. This is absolute madness. She has no idea what she's talking about.
LG19 writes, serious question, will there be jobs or community military members can join when I get a dishonorable discharge for not contributing to delete people or my body for the interests of a certain foreign nation benefit? I love this question. I do believe that if war in Iran is on the agenda, and that appears so, get dishonorably discharged. Who cares? Who cares?
Get dishonorably discharged? Who cares? There's a little bit more.
Cares? Why should you go die in a foreign land?
Because you swore an oath to obey the orders of the commander in chief. That's why. If you're not willing to take that risk, then don't take the oath.
Now have the benefit of 2020. You can see, think about those men and those women who died because they were pitched that they were serving their country because there were weapons of mass destruction, right? They were serving their country because the Taliban, they were serving their country, whatever, and these people gave up their lives. And ask yourselves, for what? And the answer to that question is for the elites. They're like toy soldiers. And I would have said a few weeks ago that Trump would never do that to you. He would never just throw you into an Israeli war. But right now, our planes are flying in the sky.
All right, that's enough of that. She's, like I said, she has absolutely lost her mind. But she clearly has no idea what a dishonorable discharge means. And I'm running out of time, but if you get dishonorably discharged, you get no VA benefits. And the chances of you being able to exercise your Second Amendment rights and carrying a firearm go out the window. And it's getting dishonorably discharged is like having a felony conviction. Good luck getting a job. Good luck getting a good job. This is, don't take advice from Candace Owens at all, ever. She has, like I said, she has lost her ever-loving mind. This sounds like some ridiculous take you would find by a teenager on TikTok. It's absolutely ridiculous. And she goes on to say, to take your dishonorable discharge with pride. How about taking your responsibility with honor? How about honoring your oath? People disagree with orders in the military all the time, but they do them because that's their job. She's, I really don't know what else to say. beyond that. She has proven herself to be a complete and utter lunatic. Lunatic. She's as bad as any leftist as far as I'm concerned. B says, can't stand that broad. Well, I can't say I blame you. Anyway, folks, that's all I got for you this time. I will keep trying to make each episode better than the last. If any of what I said hits home for you, please take a second to like and subscribe and share it with everyone that you know. I'm not just here to opine. I'm not just here to bloviate. I'm here to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ and carry the banner of faith, freedom, and hope for future generations. And if you want some cool gear, please head over to missionreadymen.com, click Shop 7 Armors, and check out all the great designs that we have over there about bold faith, true grit, and unapologetic patriotism. And as always, when seconds count, the police are only minutes away, but the Lord is right there with you. So keep your prayers going up and your head on a swivel. God bless.